Hi, welcome back to Waxing On, Classic Rock Wednesday. And we're going to look at an album. I may have touched on it before when I was doing a show about this group, but because there's a special event tied in with it, I thought I could go back and just talk about it again. 2nd of August, 3 days ago, Garth Hudson turned 87. Now, you remember the name, Garth Hudson. He was one of the original members of the Hawks that became the band. He's the last surviving member of the band. Everybody else has passed away now except for him. And unfortunately, he doesn't make a lot of money off the band's material. Years ago, Robbie Robertson bought a bunch of them out, and he was making all the money. Garth had a couple of times where he'd had fallen on some tough times and ended up selling his rights to any of the music. So he's not getting a lot from the band, but I mean, he was an integral part of that group. Just to go over, this is an album called The Band at Watkins Glen, or Live at Watkins Glen. Now, this was post-Woodstock. Now, their manager, Albert Grossman, at the time, didn't want their material included in the Woodstock movie. It wasn't on the original album. He kind of kept them out of that. So there really wasn't a lot of talk about it, although they had been, again, an integral part of Woodstock. There's only a couple of albums of live material of theirs. Now, one has an extra horn section that Alan Toussaint has put in there. The other one's the one that's so famous everybody knows, The Last Waltz. It's, I don't want to say cluttered, but it's filled with all kinds of guest stars. This is the band on their own. It was part of a music festival that was set up to take place in Watkins Glen, which is kind of southwest of Syracuse, southeast of Rochester in New York State. So in the far west end of New York. It took place on 28th of July, 1973. The band were headlining with the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead at this. Now, they didn't think it was going to be a big thing, but turned out 250,000 people showed up. It was, again, one of the largest festivals of its time. Now, the band, well, we all know them. Got a nice photo here, because there's a booklet came with it, right? This time we had an actual CD. Might have had the album, but this is what I was missing the other day when we were talking about streaming networks. We're missing this. We got Levon Helm, we've got Richard Manuel, Robbie Robertson, Garth Hudson, and Rick Danko. Now, some material by the band, some by Bob Dylan. One of their big hits isn't on here, which is surprising. I'm really surprised they didn't put it on, but maybe it'd just get overplayed too much. So The Wait is not part of this set. Don't know why. Classic band tune. The songs, we got Chuck Berry's Back to Memphis, Endless Highway, Robbie Robertson, Bob Dylan's I Shall Be Released, Loving You Is Sweeter Than Ever by Stevie Wonder, Too Wet to Work. Garth Hudson goes out and plays. They got a big storm. Not unlike Woodstock where they were getting rained out. Big storm out there. The band goes off. Garth goes back out and starts playing his keyboard. He's playing the Lowry organ and playing some music on that. And they've slapped the title on it, Too Wet to Work. But there's Garth, pitching in, keeping the band alive there. Don't You Tell Henry, tune written with Bob Dylan, and originally would have been part of the Basement Tapes, if any of you have that album or CD. We got The Rumor by Robbie Robertson, Time to Kill, Robbie Robertson, A Jam. That's all it says, Jam in the band. And they wrap up with another big hit of theirs up on Cripple Creek. 10 tunes, a classic concert. They didn't appear at Woodstock. They appeared here. This one was just about, like say, another one of those massive concerts, 250,000 people there. And this time it was the band, straight up, just them, no other players in there, no other guests coming in. You get to hear what they were really like live. And there are very rare recordings of the band live, mostly studio albums. So well worth a listen to. It was on my list for what I listened to the other day. Haven't done that show yet for you, but I will put that in there. But I thought I might give you a little more background on it. Watkins Glen, New York. 1973, part of a great set with the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead and the band. I mean, how do you get better than that? Check it out. Online, hard copies, great, because then you get this great little booklet with it. Kind of gives you a little background, gives you some nice photos. It's just a nice package. I find even when I'm listening to albums, I know everything's out there and I can get it all on the streaming network, but I really miss having something in my hand to look at and read when I'm listening. Because what happens is I get on there and I start streaming something, and a couple of minutes in, I'm clicking onto something else. A couple of minutes in, I'm on to something else. I'm back and forth all over the place on this. But if I got the album there and I'm reading it, I'm following the words, I'm doing something else, I'm sticking with that. I'm committed. I'm more involved than if I'm just playing that. Playing it's just like I've got it on as background music. I'm not really getting the full enjoyment out of it. So for me, hard copy is the best. Can you always get it? No, you can't. And the streaming network gives me access to complete catalogs of people I've never heard of. I'd never have access to buy their hard copy of their material. Don't get me wrong, I love the streaming networks for that, but it's not the same musical experience as when you're holding that album cover or that booklet in your hand. So if you can get a chance to grab a hard copy, do it. If not, certainly check this out, the band at Watkins Glen. You won't be disappointed. That's it for today. Join us back on Friday for another episode of Waxing On. Until then, everybody take care. Stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.